Hi, I'm Jasmine,
And I'm Andrea.
and this is the beginning of week 6 of our spring Floozy Knitalong.
It's gone fast.
It has, and to be fair to everyone, 6 weeks in is a really fast timeline for knitting a sweater. So props to you all.
It really is, yeah. And
for following us on this journey.
yeah, and somebody took part of their sweater apart.
It happens. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that everybody's enjoying all the new things that they've learned. If there are new things or slightly different ways of doing things, we always appreciate feedback. That'd be great.
Of course. While we have your attention, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. It means so much to us, but it's free for you.
Right.
Okay. So, week 6 has finally come. And what are you thinking? What are your thoughts about the sweater so far?
I'm liking it. And
Good.
I'm really glad that I decided, and some of you did the same thing with the sleeves first, and that leaves all the yarn you could possibly want for the body.
Because some people like to crop their sweater, but you like to make it longer.
I like it longer. I would, if it was a dress, I'd be happy.
Do you know you made a really long sweater once, and you still wear it, but it was
before, it's basically a dress.
Before you started dyeing yourself, and when you were just buying yarn, and it was superwash, right?
Yeah.
So it sort of, superwash does this.
Super relaxed.
It loses its shape.
Because it has been processed so that it doesn't have all those little things that grab in yarn that are the scales, which make it possibly felt, but it also doesn't hold its shape because they don't have that.
Right. It's like stripping the wool of all of its natural properties, in that they then have to coat it in a type of resin to create that zero wash. Yeah. So if you're knitting with our wool, know that it's going to hold its shape nicer. For sure.
Yes. Well, we haven't had things knit for, well, it's been like 4 or 5 years, right?
Right.
So, so far so good.
Plenty of time to know whether or not our yarns are fantastic.
Yeah, it seems.
And they are.
Yeah. So this is the amount of yarn. I have 3 different little balls of yarn left to do the bottom with, and I'm actually at the hem. But,
so we've measured it, weighed the yarn. You've got 26 grams or 20 grams to work with.
Right, the equivalent of a mini. And I've done 3 rows of ribbing on the bottom of this already. I'll just hold the bottom up. And of course, it's pulled in because of the needle. But I don't know if you can tell that there's ribbing there.
I can see a little bit. The yarn always looks a little different in the ribbing, right? It affects the...
I'm still doing the helix knitting.
Even in the rib?
Yeah, because I've got it started and I want to finish each one of those balls. But look at the way the colors come out.
So that is the body of the sweater, or as I called it, the midriff.
Yeah. So it seems to have blended quite nicely.
You've got a lot of body there. You want to hold the whole thing up so they can see how long you're making it?
Help me.
Help you do what?
Hold it up.
Okay. Yeah.
See, the top's out of the picture.
Yeah, it is. It's back here.
I really like a tunic length because I like wearing leggings. So
let's put it so they can still see the.
Yeah.
They can't see the yoke.
There.
And that's the special part of any sweater. Well, that and all the yarn that you use to in the design.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm happy with mine. I hope everybody else is happy with theirs.
Have you measured how many inches you've knit now? From the underarms?
No.
No?
I think altogether it's around 27, maybe 28.
So it might be a dress after all.
Yeah, and I'm tall. And like from the shoulders.
And I find because I have a larger chest, like even when I make things longer, they're still short. Like I have to take into account the fact that it's...
Gotta go over.
Yeah, it's gotta go over a little bit more than some people. So like I was put on the shirt this morning, the Astra tee that we knit last year as part of a Knitalong. And I thought it's a bit short, so I hope we can find some of that yarn in our stash.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a look and see.
So I can make it longer.
I think I might have some left.
Yeah.
And I'll take the ribbing out and just make the sweater longer. And that's the beauty of having a top-down sweater.
Yes.
You know, like even after the fact, if you've still got yarn, you can change it.
It was top down, right?
Yeah.
Wait
a minute.
I asked because
No, it was bottom up.
Oh.
It was, because you knit in the round to here and then you split to do the front and the back separately.
Mm. Is
I
it
don't
possible to add length to a bottom-up sweater?
I don't know. You would think maybe. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it because it's not something I've done before.
Isn't that fun though? Like, just the idea of it. I think there's many ways you can fix your knitting as you get a bit more brave and experimental. Like the other day I was knitting my shawl and it's not comparable, but I noticed that I had done a couple rows back the increases at the wrong spot, and so it was sort of throwing the whole thing off. Now these are front and backs, so and they were in the wrong spot in the knit in the pattern.
Oh.
So I had to drop down about 6 stitches and about 2 or 3 rows, and then try and not just pick up those stitches, but pick up and make front and back in the right spot.
Oh.
And you know what? It didn't even faze me. I was like, yeah, I could do that. And I did it. And then it was this amazing feeling like, of course I could do that.
I don't know if I would even be brave enough to try.
So I'm like, yeah, you could unravel it at the hem, even if you started at the bottom, and you take that back to where the ribbing or wherever that started, and you just knit that portion, and then you connect more yarn, and you would you knit the ribbing.
Yeah, and if it looks funny, I would just rip back to where I started again and maybe put 1 row of a different color.
Ah.
So that would distract the eye enough so that you wouldn't see if something was slightly off.
Yeah. Anyway, we're really glad that you joined us for these knit-alongs. We feel like we learn a lot too, right?
We do. Like, if it hadn't been for going out to knit night and having Anne, the 3 a.m. knitters, say, oh, are you doing the body and helix knitting? I wouldn't have thought of it. But once she said that, it was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense, because I had leftovers from both sleeves and new yarn, still a couple skeins to add to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to mix them up in such a way that it all came out looking pretty much the same the whole way down.
Right.
And I know that at least one other person was brave and did helix knitting, and it was scary to begin with, and then they discovered that it wasn't so bad after all.
Well,
so
that's good.
Yeah, so sometimes doing an knit-along is really nice, because just in conversation or with whatever other people are doing, you learn something.
Right. And there was something that you did that I think we didn't mention at the time, and then getting some feedback from people, I think maybe we should have. You dropped down a needle size for your sleeves.
Yes.
You did that instinctually once you started. You ripped back a bit because they seemed big.
It seemed like the knitting was too loose, so I thought I had loosened up. Well, I tend to loosen up as I go along because I relax and then I just get looser.
But then some of the comments, I believe,
a couple other people did the same
Wendy
thing.
or Sue, ended up having to do the same thing because it didn't look right to them either.
Right.
So, sorry that we didn't clarify that.
Yeah. And the other thing was, Barb, if you're still on the first sleeve even, one of our knit-along people took part of the pattern from the yoke and introduced it again at the bottom of her cuff. And that looks really nice. If you check the pictures that are in the discussion of
rather
the
than
event,
just striping some of that extra leftover color
yeah, she actually did
she did the slip stitch pattern again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is a great idea if we go back to make that aster tee longer. You know how you said stripe in some color? Just do a row of aster flowers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
now, we have to talk about the 7 weeks.
That's true. Because we were ambitious with the timeline, and because we know that some people are, having to rip back or making the sweater their own in different ways, we thought about extending the knit along for an additional week.
Because, unlike the majority, a lot of you are doing the cardigan rather than the sweater. And doing the cardigan has an extra step at the end, where along the front, you've got to pick up your stitches on each side in order to be able to knit your band.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to take a little longer. And being ambitious with a sweater to begin with, we thought that we better extend it to be fair to those people.
Right. So next week would have been when we do the draw and announce the winner. Instead, next week is when we're going to talk about blocking and different techniques for finishing your project.
Possibly even about picking up along the edge. But if you've thought, oh my God, I only have 6 weeks, and you're really moving along, we're going to share the tutorial for picking up the stitches along the edge.
Now.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
The most important thing is that you kind of eyeball where you want an even row to be. So on the edge of your stitching, you can line up all the loops in a row to kind of visualize it before you start, and then make sure you always pick up at least 2 strands of yarn, not just one, and that makes it more not sturdy but more secure.
Yeah, you've got to go through both parts of the V, right?
The edge. Yeah. So wherever and sometimes if you pick up 3, that's okay too. And because knit stitches aren't square, they're a little bit rectangular, that means that there are more rows than stitches in the 4-inch square. That's why your gauge sample is always not the same number of rows as it is stitches. So when you're picking up along the edge, you usually need to pick up 2 out of 3 rows will become stitches. And you just kind of go along and you pick up 2, and then you skip 1, and then you do 2 more and you skip 1. And that should even it out for you. Plus there'll be the tutorial just to have that explained to you properly.
Sometimes I like watching the tutorial and then watching it a second time while I'm trying it, and then watching it a third time to make sure what I did was correct, and then I can keep going on my own.
Yeah, and I like the new series from Very Pink Knits. She does slow motion, and it really does make the number of times that you need to rewind and watch it again a little bit less, because so often you miss just exactly what happened.
What I think people don't realize is that you can watch any YouTube video in slow motion. Down in the settings, you can change the playback speed. You can also change the pixels or definition at which you're watching us. So if you are just watching us in auto, we're probably a little grainy, you're not seeing things very well. If you go down to the settings or the gear shift at the bottom, you can change, I think it says auto, and you click on there for the quality and change it to HD. We look better, I promise.
I could use that. You should. I'm suggesting very strongly to you to go to HD.
And maybe rewind once you do that and look at the sweater pics as we hold it up, because you're going to see a little bit more definition. You might be able to make out the ribbing that Andrea was talking about, and the yoke's just going to really shine. So well, we should start every video saying, make sure you switch to HD.
Yeah, we need it.
And if we talk too slow, you can always speed up the playback as well.
Really?
Yes. You can make us sound like little squirrel people.
Chipmunks,
that's it. Okay, so an extra week for the Knitalong, which is good because we've got a lot going on, and you don't know if you're going to finish in time to block by next Thursday, right?
Right.
So we've all got a little grace period there, and by we, I'm not knitting with you guys, but I'm here.
Jasmine sort of has a grace period because she's getting ready for the next Knitalong and needs to have that completed.
Yes, well, because I'm designing the pattern, and hopefully you'll like it enough you'll want to knit it with me. It is going to be a sweet summer shawl. Not quite the same shape as this one, but we're showing this off today. This is called the Happy Mood Shawl. Andrea,
show the ends.
Yes, the ends. What am I showing?
Well, the fact that it's got like rings.
It's not showing very well.
It's not.
No, but there is an I-cord edge, and there's an I-cord edge here between the first 2 colors. It's done with a mini skein, and the loops have little holes in them. Can you see that? You can put your finger right through, and that is also along the bottom edge. And Andrea's trying to point that out because, well, you can use a shawl pin to hold your shawl. You can also feed one of the long ends through that I-cord edge and sort of secure it around you, which means you don't need to create a tie or anything. It just really makes it more versatile. And I'll stand up so you can see that. see,
Oh,
the
that's
shawl
nice.
is just holding itself in place.
Isn't that
So
cool?
yeah, it's a free pattern on Ravelry, but
We've made up kits.
yes, and it uses 4 colors in our 50-gram skein, our merino,
And a mini.
and a mini. So this would be the equivalent, but instead of green, blue. So this is Love Bug used up here.
Yeah.
We've got Magnolia and Bloom, which was here for the eyelet section. The blue replaces the green in this, it's not, I don't know what that stitch is called, but it's very
pretty.
interesting. It's got a little bit of a twist to it.
It's almost like the shawl is a sampler of sorts.
It is. It's a lot of fun to knit,
Mm-hmm.
eh?
Yeah.
And then Bloomshin, our lovely pink color, is down here for the linen stitch.
Yeah. And then I followed the pattern for the number of rows that it wanted for the first section before the eyelet cord.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that because it wanted to have enough yarn for the eye cord at the very end as well. So
Right.
I didn't.
So the linen stitch changes back into
The
Love
first
Bug.
color because I wanted to use that all up.
Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful way to use up.
It's kind of a nice way to accent the edge.
Yeah. So
anyway,
we're pointing these out because each week of the knit along we have shown you another item from our store and have said that the person who is picked in the draw gets to choose what they'd like their prize to be.
Mhm.
And this way we get to show off a bunch of things that we do carry and sell and have made, but also you get to choose something that speaks
you
to
really
you.
would like.
Yeah, because
Like,
there's
it's
nothing-
nice to win, but it's also nice to like the prize.
right. So and then people who don't win but have seen something that they kind of caught their eye know what they might like to look at in the future.
Mm-hmm. Tell your family what you want for Mother's Day.
Right. Now, speaking about right now and the future and all that, we do have a sale on at the moment.
Yes.
It started Earth Day this past Monday and runs until the Sunday after
The
Local Yarn Store Day.
Yeah, local yarn store day.
Which is when?
This Saturday.
This Saturday. We're pretty excited. We're going to have more kits made up, sock sets, different items that we've put together in our hand-dyed yarns. But the real kicker is the 20% off on select yarns, which is basically
Most of it.
all of the yarn
Except ours.
except the, no,
No, some of ours.
except the merino in the GOTS and the Echo.
Right.
So yes, like everything in the store.
Not notions and bags, just yarn.
Right, but we're talking about like our cotton, which is perfect for the summer tops. We have the cotton GOTS, which is 50-gram balls, and they're on for like $4 right now. It's just really great sale all around.
Mm-hmm.
The llama merino blend that we always harp on about because it's exquisite and has been discontinued is on sale at the moment. You can get it as low as I think $12. Like
Serpentina.
Serpentina, which is normally $40, I think is on for $32 or something like this. So if for whatever reason
You want to build up your stash for your Christmas knitting.
right? Or you've got an anniversary, a birthday, or something special coming up, or you just want to support a local yarn store on Local Yarn Store Day.
That would be nice.
Jump over to the website if you're further away, or come on in. We'd love to see you.
Mm-hmm. And getting back to the prize option for this week,
Mm-hmm.
you did a reel. This is the one that we modeled when we were at the beach, and I almost fell over. It was so windy.
It's so windy.
I almost fell over. Don't wear sandals in the sand on a windy day.
Mm-hmm.
You'll lose your balance.
Yeah.
But my point was that the shawl kit for this comes in various colors.
Oh, right, because these might not be your colors. We do have sort of gem tones, the blues,
With
the
a
purple,
and a
hint
gold.
of color in there, that gold. And then people who prefer more toned down or muted earth tones, we've got, we do have a pop of color with the green and the blue there.
But it's Magnolia and Bloom and Crab Cakes.
No, it's Beaver Meadow Trail,
Oh,
which is, it's got yellows, reds, and oranges, and a little bit of gray. Accents of brown will complement the color over here called Driftwood. And Crab Cakes, again, you've got your neutral tones with your sort of orangey peach color.
I think that one would be pretty. Well, they're all going to be pretty.
They're all going to be pretty. I know a lot of people will gravitate towards this one because blues and purples always go first. And I think that just people have more in their wardrobe to work with that. But
hey, it might not even be your option. You might want to pick one of the other ones.
Exactly.
We'll recap next week.
Yes, we will. We'll have all the prizes on the table.
In the meantime, please put you posted the week 5 progress picture of mine.
Yes.
Which,
you've done a lot of progress since I took that picture.
Since she took the picture, I've knit one heck of a lot of the body. But it's 2 weeks to knit the body, and then next week will be the continuation for another week, right?
Next week we're going to start talking about blocking and finishing up, how we weave in our ends and things like that, because next week will be when we hope everyone is slowly wrapping up and getting in your final photo for the ballot. Tonight we have our Maker Circle, which is a bi-weekly Zoom social. We do it in sections, 8 Atlantic Standard Time until 8:40. We have an intermission, and we start again at 8:50 till 9:30.
It gives everybody a chance to go make another tea, pour another glass of wine.
If you've only been able to make it for a portion, you can join without fear of, interrupting or being cut off. And it's a great way if you all want to come show off how far you are in your knitting.
Yeah, it would be really nice for everybody to be able to show each other.
Ask any questions that you felt kind of silly not posting them in the group. Things like that. So to access the Maker Circle, there is a link on our website under events. You just click on the Join Now button and you will be either in the waiting room or you'll join us as we go live.
Yes. Sometimes we're a couple minutes late starting.
Sometimes.
It just depends on how fast the kettle boils for the first cup of tea. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. I'm continuing to enjoy the knitting, and I hope that you are too.
Yes.
And
so like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Or tonight.
Be natural.
Be you.
Bye.
Bye.